Alright guys, we're almost done with our app. Now we just need to add edit and delete functionalities to our application. Now remember when we created this ID prop, this is because we're going to use it in our delete function. Now we can go ahead and create a server action for the delete, but there's a problem with it. If I were to pass it to a button, it will give me an error because the click handlers, on click, stuff like that only works in client components, and this is a server component. I mean, pretty easy, right? We can just go ahead and type in use client, turn this into a client component, which we will either way, but another problem with that is that when we call the await Prisma, it will give us an error because Prisma by default runs on the server and not on the client. So to get around this, what we're going to do is we're going to create an API route in Nextjs or a route handler. So first things first, we're going to go right here. Inside of our app folder, we're going to create a series of nested folders. It's going to be API/entry/delete. And this delete will take in a search param. So basically right here, I'll show you right now. So inside the delete folder, we're going to create a route.ts. For example, we have our entry/delete, API/entry/delete, and then question mark. So anything after this question mark is our search params, ID1 to ID3, stuff like that. First, we're going to import the next request type, so we can make an HTTP requests with Next.js. So next request from next server. Now we're going to go ahead and create our handler function. So export async function. And it's going to be the delete request. So make sure it's all caps. So depending on the verb, HTTP verb, this is the request we're going to make. So request next request like this. Inside this pair of parentheses, we're going to do a couple of things. First, we're going to destructure the search params from something called request.nextURL. You can actually get rid of the URL because this is very redundant. New URL object. And the nice thing about NextURL is that you don't have to put it inside a new URL object like you would in regular JavaScript or any other JavaScript library. Next, we're going to go ahead and go const ID, and we're going to get the ID, which is the search param as such. So search params.getID. And now we're ready to use the ID to delete from our database. So first up, we're going to type in await Prisma. Now we're going to import Prisma from. Now you can do prisma.entry.delete. And inside this delete object, we're going to go ahead and type in where, colon, and then brackets, and then ID again. As you can see, cannot be null value, so we're going to put in at a exclamation mark like this. So this is a non-nullable value. Now that we're ready to use it in our front end, let's go back to our entry card. In this footer, I'll add the button right here. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and type in button delete, and then somewhere outside the entry card, I'm going to go ahead and make an asynchronous function called delete entry. And this function will take in an ID as a parameter. Now we're going to use the fetch API to get the to delete records. So delete our entry. So await fetch a template string API/entry/delete, and then a question mark, because this is a search parameter, like we said, or like I said earlier, comma, then another object, which is going to be the method that we want to request. So HTTP verbs, so method delete in this case. So now last but not least, we're going to go ahead and go to on click. And right here, we're going to give it the delete entry, passing the ID right above as our parameter. Alright, so I added an extra entry just to test things out. So once we click delete now, All right, so refresh the page. It's now gone. It's no longer there. But now we don't want to have an undefined headers. Let's just ignore it for now because by default this is a we don't have a body to we're not using a body to make a request. So we're gonna make sure to reload the window after after user deletes a journal entry. So window.location.reload. Yeah, that's it for the entry. Now finally, the edit page. This is going to be pretty straightforward because basically we're going to take the same logic, but we're going to make a few adjustments here and there so that we can update so that we can get the existing values or whatever, and the user can update them. So we're going to take all of this, right? Just copy it. Now in our entry folder, we're going to create another folder called edit. Inside of it, we're going to create page.tsx, paste right here, and change the create page to, change it to edit page, mood as it is. I'm missing a brace. There you go. Now we need to fetch the value of our current object. So to do this, we're gonna pass it a search param again, because, well, I like search params for some. Oh, anyway, first we're gonna give it a search params object. Now this is just so that you can pass values between routes in Nextjs 13, the app router. So inside the search params, we're looking for an ID. And this search param is of type ID string. Okay, awesome. Now we can go ahead and fetch the entry. So await Prisma entry find unique. So it's gonna give us a unique value by ID. So also need to make this an async function. There you go. Right now you want to add in a default value. So input type placeholder select. Right, there it is. Default value equals entry dot title. And by default, it's going to add a question mark because it can be null, it can be not null, it can be a proper value, so that's why there's a question mark here. Text area will do the same. We're going to use the content value. Last but not least, in the select, we're going to add a default value dot mood. All right, nice. Now we can get to the edit logic. So normally you'd have this place outside, but if you look at the Next.js docs, it's okay to use the server action inside the function component because, because here's the thing, right? You'll have to pass the data, only the data, and no extra parameters. That's just the way it is with server actions, unfortunately. For now, at least until they figure out a way to fix this. So we're going to drag it all the way down here. Instead of create entry, it's going to be edit entry, form data, get stuff like that. Make sure this is edit entry as well. And now instead of create, we're going to go ahead and put update. Now we're going to pass it a where object. So update where ID is equal to such, the ID search param that we passed it. And then once once they update the data, user can go ahead, get redirected back to the home page. Now we're going to add a button that directs us to the page. So to do this, Pico, I believe you have to go ahead and put link. So link href entry ID, yes. All right, we also want to make this a button. So role going to be a button. But we're going to make an outline. So let's see. Class name going to be an outline. This is a predefined class in Pico CSS. So, all right, if you go right here, there it is. But I want to stretch it out because it's a link component now. And what I'm going to do is style this. So style and give it a full width. So width of 100%, like this. All right, there you go. It now stretches the whole width to the width of the card. So if you look down below, right here, there it is, entry, and then the ID equals the ID of our 0 entries. So yeah, pretty nice. Now, one more thing before we move on right here, I just want to revalidate that this is want to make sure that the data gets revalidated every time it gets updated. So first we're gonna go to the app and then export a variable called revalidate, and we're going to revalidate the data every 10 seconds. So basically, update the discard this old data and fetch the new one like every 10 seconds, which is good enough. Now let's go ahead into our delete. Maybe let's try joyful, for example. My journal, day in the life. I'm gonna go ahead and change this later, but just click create. There you go. We successfully updated our entry. Another thing here, I'm gonna go back to edit. Forgot to do this, but go ahead and change that to update. And there it is, our update button. All right, that is our Vercel Postgres like 3-part tutorial, if you will. I wouldn't call it a course because it's just Postgres, it's just Postgres, normal SQL database. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions. And as always, see you next time.